What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are doing great as always. My name is Ty, and in today's chess video, I'm going to be talking about a question that was commented on my previous video. The question is essentially, how do you know what best move to play in complicated situations in chess? And the answer is not so simple because each situation calls for a different best move, and there isn't a formula or an easy step-by-step process to get that best move. That being said, there are still strategies and tools that you can use to help you figure out that move to play, and that's what we're covering today. More than 80% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you are not subscribed and you like what you see, you enjoy the video, or you just find something valuable from it, then go ahead and subscribe. Regardless, here's the video. This is a very hard thing to explain. So I decided I'm first going to start with a few slides to show you the process of what you should be doing, and then I'll go ahead and actually implement the process in a situation or in a position in a game to show you how you can do that in your game. So first, finding the best moves. There's three types of moves in chess. There's complete blunders or complete bad moves where you just give away a piece. Then there's pointless moves where, it doesn't seem to do anything for either side. So for example, moving your king one step to the left, for example, usually will be a pointless move. And then there are good moves, or how I'm going to call it, candidate moves. And those are what you're going to want to stick to, because if you calculate the lines for every single move, that's going to take you forever. So you only want to calculate the lines for the very best candidate moves, or the very best, good moves. There are only two types of candidate moves that you're going to want to try to find in your game. The first type are forcing moves, so checks, captures, or threats. If you check your opponent, they're going to be forced to either capture the piece, move the king, or block the check in any way. If you capture a piece, your opponent is going to probably have to capture it back. And when I say forcing, I don't mean that legally they have to. I mean that they're probably going to want to, right? So it's things that are going to make your opponent do or defend. Okay, so checks, they have to. Captures, they're most likely gonna. And same with threats. If you threaten to capture a piece, they're probably going to have to react, move the piece, capture the piece that you're threatening with, block the threat, whatever they want to do, they're going to have to react. Okay, so that's the first thing that you want to find. You want to find all the forcing moves, because usually forcing moves, if they are not complete blunders, they're pretty good because you know how the game's going to go. So now let's move on to the second type of moves that you're going to want to try to find. If you can't find any good forcing moves, you're going to try to find tactical moves, right? Moves like pins or forks that once again are going to give you that advantage. Once again are good moves. They're candidate moves. They're moves that you probably are going to do well with. Okay, and beyond that, if you can't find any forcing moves that are not complete blunders, and you can't find any tactical moves that are not complete blunders, you just want to develop a piece, or you want to do a pointless move, because beyond the tactical moves and the forcing moves, there aren't many candidate moves that you're going to be able to find. So you're going to want to do just a pointless move and just continue playing the game, okay? Now I'll use the tactical moves and forcing moves that I talked about here in an actual game to help you understand, because this might be very confusing at first or even right now, so that's why I'm going to go onto the board. If you are confused up to this point, don't you worry. This example should make everything clear. So in this example, you're playing as white, and you want to find the best move. Let's look at the strategy. Let's use the strategy that I covered in the slides to find the best move. Okay, so first, go to the comment section and comment what you think the best move is. Before you find any strategy, before you do anything like that, try to find the best move on your own. Okay, now let's use the strategy. So the first thing that you want to do is find all the forcing moves, like I showed in the slides. And forcing moves are checks, captures, or threats. So what checks can I give to the black king? Well, the first check is with the knight here. I can just check the black king. But obviously, this is a very bad move. This is actually the only check that I see that I can do. So let's move on. Next up, captures. What can I capture? Well, I don't see anything I can capture. So once again, let's move on. Finally, what threats can I do? And this is probably the category of forcing moves that you're going to find the most amount of possibilities, but most of them you're very quickly going to cancel out. So here, this is a threat. You're threatening to capture the queen. Bad move. Here, this is a threat. You're threatening to capture the pawn. Bad move. Here, this is a threat. You're threatening to capture the pawn. Horrible move. Here, this is a threat, I guess. You're threatening to capture the rook, but once again, very bad move. Here, you're threatening to capture the pawn or the rook or even this pawn, but horrible move. And then here, you're threatening to capture this pawn here. This looks like a pretty good move, right? You're threatening to capture the pawn. There's nothing really defending the pawn. It looks like a good move. But never settle for a good move. Always try to continue searching, because you see how fast I'm running through all of the possibilities. It doesn't take too much time, so never settle for good. Continue searching, but we will keep this move in mind. Beyond that, here you can threaten to capture the rook, but this is a very bad move, because after this, it's actually black's move, so you lost kind of possession. So this is a very, very bad move, and I don't really see anything else, right? So now that we've looked at all the forcing moves, we've landed ourselves with one good move, one candidate move. But we have more categories to search from. We have to now search for tactical moves, right? So we, once again, will keep this in mind, but now we're trying to find tactical moves. What moves can we use that use tactics? Well, when you try to find something like this, a tip is to try to find pieces that are aligned, right? So all of these pieces here, they're aligned. So you can play maybe this move and try to kind of pin all of the pawns with each other. But it's terrible. There's a rook here. These two pieces, they're aligned, but there isn't a way for you to get a queen here or a rook here or a piece here that can pin these, right? So again, it's not a good tactic that you can use. These two pieces here, they're aligned, and is there any way that we can take advantage of this? There actually is. We can play this move and take advantage of this this little pin here, where now the rook can no longer move. Now before, when we were looking at this move for a capture move, we obviously lost to this. But if there's a queen here, okay, and I'll just do a pointless move for now. If there's a queen here, and now we were to play this, the rook is pinned. The rook cannot move. So you're going to win the rook, okay? So this is a very good move. This is using tactics. It's actually using, it's even in the forcing moves, it's using the threatening category. So this looks like a very good move. And now we have two candidate moves. Now I don't see any other tactics that we can use, so we land at two candidate moves. So now we just go ahead and try to figure out the lines for these. Here, maybe we win a pawn, but they can simply defend the pawn. They can maybe even move their king here. They can do moves to defend this. They can even do this. There's a lot of ways to defend this one pawn. Here, what can black do? Well, first off, black can play a move like this, get away from the pin. But then you have this move, and you're threatening to move the rook here and put the king back again on its pin. So that would be very bad. And if black tries to maybe run away with the king, it's gonna not be great for you either, because after this series of moves, you can see that this is pretty bad. You're now obviously threatening to mate. You're threatening to even just play a move like this. You're threatening a lot of moves, and it doesn't look great. Okay, so they have to give black a way to move, but even with that, it's just not great. And I mean, black has to resort to doing something like this just to try to prolong the mate, but you'll see that it's not very effective. Okay, so after this series of moves, white is definitely going to land themselves on top. So this, you can see, is not a good move. What can black do else, right? What other move can black do? Honestly, there isn't a great move. It falls under the same problem with rook here, and there isn't great moves. In fact, according to Lee Chess, the best move. Well, actually, let me just check. Yeah, I think I looked at this earlier. The best move, I think, was this move, and I mean, clearly this isn't a great move. You can simply go ahead and win your exchange, and once this piece falls, everything's gonna fall for black, and it's just gonna be very good. Okay, so using the process of first finding forcing moves, then finding tactical moves, you figured out your two best possibilities, your two candidate moves, and then you looked at the extended lines of them, and you found that this is the move that you're going to want to play. And, well, let's see how you did. You did great. This is the best move according to Lee Chess, and you came up on top. So that is my way to find the best moves. In short blitz games, or like 3-minute games, 5-minute games, whatever it might be, you don't really have time for this. So in moves like that, in games like that, you just have to kind of trust your intuition, or just your initial thoughts, your guts. There isn't much you can do, but in longer games, use this process, use this strategy, try to figure out the candidate moves, and then look at where that will lead you in the game. Okay, now hopefully I tried my best to explain this the easiest way. Most of the topics I talk about are in chess. They're easier than this to cover, but I tried my best. Hopefully it still was effective and you learned something, you enjoyed the video, you found it interesting. Either way, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.